The initial revelation, July 20th, 1973, 11:45 p.m., Hong Kong. Bruce Lee's body is declared dead for the third time in his life, but this time, there was no resurrection. What you're about to discover will challenge everything you thought you knew about the most famous martial artist in history, because Bruce Lee didn't die just once. He died 3 times, and with each death, something supernatural happened. For decades, secret documents remained hidden in the archives of Queen Mary Hospital in Hong Kong, testimonies from Buddhist monks who swore never to speak publicly, audio recordings that mysteriously disappeared from official records, photographs showing the impossible happening right in front of movie cameras, letters written in Bruce Lee's own handwriting years after his official death. Today, we're going to reveal the truth about Bruce Lee's 3 deaths and how he achieved the immortality he so desperately sought. This isn't just the story of an extraordinary martial artist. It's the story of someone who discovered how to transcend the limits of human existence, who explored unknown spiritual territories, and found a way to continue teaching through the centuries. Each death taught him something fundamental. The first death awakened his cosmic consciousness. The second death gave him dominion over the vital forces of the body. The third death allowed him to completely transcend physical reality. But a secret organization tried to prevent him from completing this cycle of transformation. If you're prepared to discover secrets that forever change the destiny of martial arts, hit that like button now and turn on notifications, because this journey will take you to the limits of the impossible. What you'll hear in the coming decades of minutes might forever change your perception of life, death, and what truly exists beyond the reality we know. Before we continue, it's important to make clear, what you're about to hear is a speculative, fiction narrative. We mix documented historical facts with theories, legends, and fictional elements to create a unique entertainment experience. You decide what to believe. Our intention is to honor Bruce Lee's legacy through a story that explores the mysteries that always surrounded his extraordinary life. The first death, the awakening of consciousness, Hong Kong, May 15, 1950. Bruce Lee was only 10 years old when he died for the first time. To understand what happened that day, we need to know the mystical circumstances that surrounded his childhood. Bruce was born on November 27, 1940, in the year of the water snake, during the hour of the dragon, in Hong Kong, known in Chinese tradition as the port of the sleeping dragon. According to ancient Chinese numerology texts, this specific combination of time, place, and astronomical circumstances only happens once every 660 years. His great-grandmother, who practiced ancestral Taoist rituals, made a prophecy on the day of his birth. This child will not live just one life. He will die 3 times before finding his true form. The first death will awaken him to cosmic consciousness. The second death will give him dominion over the physical body. The third death will free him from the limitations of mortal existence. The family considered this superstition, but the events that followed changed that perception. Bruce demonstrated unusual abilities from childhood: extraordinary spatial perception, the ability to predict people's movements, and physical resistance that impressed doctors. On that fateful day, in May, Bruce was playing at the harbor when a sudden storm transformed calm waters into rough seas. It wasn't a common storm. Veteran fishermen said they had never seen anything like it. The water moved as if it had a life of its own, and Bruce was specifically dragged into the depths. Chen Weiming, the fisherman who rescued him, reported, "When we brought the boy back, he was purple, completely blue, no pulse, dead for at least 6 minutes, eyes rolled back. As happens with drowning victims, I was sure it was too late." Dr. James Morrison, the English doctor who treated Bruce at Queen Mary Hospital, left detailed notes about the case, The document was lost from official files, but copies survived. The boy was clinically dead. No heartbeat for 6 minutes. Low body temperature, dilated pupils. I was preparing the death certificate when something inexplicable happened at 2:27 p.m. It wasn't a gradual recovery. It was instantaneous, as if someone had flipped a switch. Even more extraordinary, Bruce's eyes glowed with physical luminosity. He spoke fluently in languages he barely knew and drew precise anatomical diagrams, saying he had learned from ancient masters during his journey. The supernatural abilities awakened after the first death. Bruce Lee developed capabilities that left martial arts masters completely perplexed. It was as if he had accessed ancestral knowledge during those minutes of clinical death. Master Liu Shenshan, who taught traditional kung fu in Hong Kong, was the first instructor to accept Bruce as a student after the incident. In his memoirs, he described, "When that 10-year-old boy entered my dojo, I knew immediately there was something different about him. His movements had a fluidity that normally took decades to develop. I demonstrated a basic Wing Chun sequence that took months for a beginner to master. He reproduced it perfectly on the first try, but didn't just reproduce it. He improved the technique, even more impressive." Bruce began demonstrating variations of techniques that Master Liu had never seen, but which clearly belonged to the traditional Wing Chun system. It was as if he had studied with the original founders of the style. Liu wrote, "He knew secret applications that only the oldest masters knew, techniques passed down orally through generations." When questioned about where he had learned this, Bruce simply said that wise men in ancient clothing had taught him when he was visiting the other side. His description of these masters corresponded perfectly to historical figures from Chinese martial arts. Dr. William Chow, the family's pediatrician, documented other phenomena. Bruce demonstrated reflexes that exceeded anything the doctor had observed in 30 years of practice. It's as if he operated on a different frequency from the rest of us. He noted in his medical records, even more disturbing, Bruce began having recurring dreams about martial arts techniques that didn't exist in any school. He drew these movements in secret notebooks. When monastery agents managed to see these drawings decades later, they were shocked to recognize Shaolin Kung Fu techniques that were known only to the most advanced masters. The first death didn't just save Bruce's life, it completely transformed him. He had crossed the veil between worlds and returned with knowledge that changed the course of his life. But this was just the beginning of a journey that would challenge all known laws of human existence. The Shaolin monks, who had been secretly observing Bruce, knew that the ancient prophecies were being fulfilled. The chosen dragon had awakened. The ancestral prophecy of the Shaolin monks in 1987. During secret renovations at the Shaolin monastery, workers discovered a hidden compartment behind a false wall in the ancient library. Inside, dozens of millennial scrolls revealed secrets that connected Bruce Lee to ancestral prophecies. The most significant scroll, dated 1150 AD, spoke of the chosen dragon, a child who would be born under specific circumstances and would need to die 3 times to fully awaken his spiritual potential. The text said, "He who is touched by the celestial dragon must pass through the trinity of death to become immortal in spirit. In the first death, he awakens cosmic consciousness. In the second death, he dominates the vital forces of the body. In the third death, he transcends physical reality." Even more impressive, the scroll contains specific details about when and where this chosen dragon would be born. In the city of the sleeping dragon, in the year of the water snake, when the sun and moon dance in the autumn sky, a description that corresponded exactly to Bruce Lee's birth. Dr. Chen Luwang, a specialist in ancient Chinese texts at Beijing University, was shocked by the precision. The scroll even mentions that the chosen dragon will teach through moving images that will capture his essence for future generations. A clear reference to films, written 700 years before the invention of cinema. The Shaolin monks believed that Bruce Lee was the reincarnation of Bodhidharma, the legendary Indian monk who brought Zen Buddhism to China and created the foundations of Shaolin martial arts. According to the prophecy, Bodhidharma would return in modern form to elevate martial arts to the next evolutionary level. Documents found alongside the scrolls revealed that the monks had been secretly monitoring Bruce since his birth. They had agents in Hong Kong who reported on his physical and spiritual development. After the first death and resurrection, the monks knew the prophecy was being fulfilled. Master Shi Daeng, one of the oldest monks, confessed before dying, "We sent 3 masters to Hong Kong in 1951 to discreetly observe the child. They confirmed that the boy possessed all the marks of the chosen dragon. His movements were naturally fluid. He demonstrated intuitive knowledge of vital points, and his eyes glowed with spiritual energy." The prophecy also warned about an organization that would try to prevent the chosen dragon's transformation cycle, fearing that his complete evolution would disturb the existing balance of power. The second death, dominion over the body. Oakland, California, December 18, 1964. Bruce Lee was 24 years old when he died for the second time. This time, it wasn't an accident. It was a deliberate experiment with the limits of human existence. Bruce had moved to the United States in 1959 to study philosophy, but his true interests lay in exploring human limits through martial arts and meditation. He spent entire nights studying ancient texts about spiritual development in Chinatown shops. In his personal notebooks, Bruce documented increasingly dangerous experiments with altered states of consciousness. He was obsessed with the idea of consciously accessing what he called the universal source of knowledge, the same state he had experienced involuntarily during his first death. Bruce had met a mysterious Tibetan monk named Tenzin in Chinatown. This man had appeared at his school a few weeks earlier, saying he had been sent to teach him the secrets of conscious death. Tenzin taught Bruce a technique called Bardo Thodol, a practice of consciously leaving the physical body to explore other dimensions. Linda Lee Cadwell, his wife, described in a letter to her sister, Bruce had fasted for 3 days, practiced 12 hours daily of meditation, and taken a mixture of Tibetan herbs. He asked me not to disturb him for any reason, no matter what happened. He said the process could last several hours and that I shouldn't try to wake him, even if he seemed dead. In the early hours of December 18th, Linda found Bruce lying on the floor of his private dojo at 3:33 a.m. He was cold, without pulse, with purple lips and bluish skin. Completely terrified, she rushed him to Alta Bates Hospital. Dr. Robert Chen, the attending physician, wrote in his memoirs, the patient arrived in a state of clinical death for approximately 40 minutes, body temperature of 30 degrees Celsius, no brain activity on electroencephalograms, completely dilated pupils. All signs indicated death for at least half an hour. It was a lost case. But at 4:44 a.m., something extraordinary happened. All monitors began functioning simultaneously. Dr. Chen reported, it wasn't a normal medical recovery. It was as if he had chosen to return to life, the journey to the eternal masters. When Bruce Lee fully regained consciousness after his second death, he reported an experience that defied any rational explanation. It wasn't just a dream or hallucination. It was a real journey to a dimension where ancient martial arts masters continued to exist and practice. I traveled to a dimension where I met ancient masters who had transcended physical existence. Bruce told Dr. Chen, who documented everything carefully. They were warriors who now existed as pure energy and knowledge. They took me to a place that seemed like an infinite temple, where all combat techniques that had ever been created or could be created were being practiced eternally. Bruce described direct encounters with legendary figures: Miyamoto Musashi, the famous Japanese samurai, Dong Haichuan, creator of Bagwazang, and Bodhidharma himself, founder of Shaolin martial arts. Each of them taught specific techniques that didn't exist in any earthly school. Miyamoto Musashi taught me sword movements that could be adapted for weaponless combat. Bruce explained to Dan Inosanto, his closest friend. Dong Haichuan showed me how to use circular energy to redirect attacks in ways I had never imagined. Bodhidharma revealed secrets about vital points that can directly attack an opponent's spirit. But the most impressive was what these spiritual masters told him about his destiny. They explained that I was destined to revolutionize martial arts in the physical world, Bruce confided. But to do this completely, I would need to pass through 3 death experiences. The first had awakened me to the possibilities. The second was giving me access to secret knowledge. The third would allow me to completely transcend physical limitations. The masters also warned about dangers. They said that an ancient organization would try to prevent my third passage, Bruce revealed. This organization feared that my complete evolution would disturb the balance of power they had maintained for centuries. During his transcendental experience, Bruce received specific instructions on how to recognize when the third death was approaching. They gave me a code phrase. He said, "When I heard the cycle completes at sunset, the dragon will fly for the last time, I would know it was time for the final transformation." The spiritual masters also taught him techniques that manipulated vital energy itself, movements that could break known physical laws. But they told me I would only be able to use this knowledge completely after the third passage, Bruce explained. Supernatural powers after the second death. After returning from his second death, Bruce Lee developed abilities that left even the most experienced masters without explanation. It was as if he had transcended the normal limits of human capability. His punches gained a speed that defied normal human perception. High-speed cameras could barely capture his movements. His ability to predict opponents' movements became almost telepathic. He knew what they were going to do before they themselves knew. Even more extraordinary, Bruce began demonstrating total control over normally involuntary bodily functions. He could accelerate or slow his heartbeat at will, completely control his body temperature, and even his pain reflexes. During medical demonstrations, he could make his heart stop completely for several seconds and then resume normal rhythm. Jesse Glover, one of Bruce's first American students, documented these supernatural abilities. Bruce could lightly touch your pulse and make you faint instantly. It wasn't physical force. It was as if he knew exactly where and how to touch to interrupt the energy flow in your body. When I asked how he had learned this, he said that the masters from the other side had taught him. Jesse also reported that Bruce demonstrated knowledge about pressure points that didn't exist in any medical or martial arts book. He showed me points on the human body that, when pressed in a specific way, could cause extraordinary effects. One touch could make you temporarily deaf. Another could make you lose balance for hours. It was as if he had access to a secret manual of the human body. During the filming of Enter the Dragon in 1973, Bruce performed feats that violated known laws of physics. Tommy Chen, camera assistant, reported Bruce broke 3 oak boards with just his index finger. There was no trick, no special preparation. He simply touched the first board and all 3 disintegrated simultaneously. It was physically impossible, but it happened right in front of 20 people. Director Robert Klaus was so disturbed by these sequences that he ordered them cut from the final film. No one would believe it, he said. This would harm the film's credibility. But Jimmy Wong, The sound editor secretly kept 12 minutes of these impossible footage. Specialists from Lucasfilm Industrial Light and Magic analyzed this material decades later and confirmed there were no tricks or special effects. Whatever is happening in these images is actually happening, reported Dennis Schultz. The Three Dragons Conspiracy. As Bruce Lee approached his third death, an ancient conspiracy began to unfold. The Three Dragons, a secret society that had operated for centuries, discovered the true power Bruce was developing and decided to act. This organization had originally been formed by traditional Chinese masters, Hollywood magnates, and elements of the Hong Kong Mafia. Their mission was to preserve ancestral martial arts secrets and control who could access advanced knowledge. For over 100 years, they had operated in the shadows, ensuring that certain techniques were never revealed to the outside world. When Bruce began teaching martial arts to non-Chinese in the United States, the Three Dragons became alarmed. But when he began demonstrating techniques that transcended traditional knowledge, after his second death, they knew they faced something unprecedented. Documents discovered in 1995 in an abandoned vault in Macau revealed internal communications from the Three Dragons. In a letter from March 1970, someone identified as Tiger of the North wrote, "The rebel dragon is evolving beyond what our prophecies predicted. He's not just rediscovering ancient techniques, he's creating new forms of power that could make obsolete everything we've protected for centuries." They knew, through ancient prophecies, that Bruce was destined to become something beyond a simple martial artist. After his third death, according to the scriptures, he would return with abilities that could change the balance of power in the martial arts world. Lo Wei, director of several Bruce Lee films in Hong Kong, was secretly a member of the Three Dragons. In an audio recording discovered among his belongings, he discusses the Lee problem. The dragon is almost completing the cycle. Our information indicates that the third passage will happen within the next few months. If he returns this time, his power will be uncontrollable. The Three Dragons had studied the prophecies carefully and discovered a loophole. If the third death was caused by betrayal from someone close and the body was treated with specific substances, the resurrection could be prevented. We found the formula in secret Tibetan texts. The recording continues. A combination of herbs that, when administered during the third passage, create a spiritual prison that prevents the soul from returning to the body. It's ancient magic, used to banish powerful spirits permanently. To execute this plan, they would need someone close to Bruce who could administer the substances at the exact moment. They chose Betty Tingpei. The third death, the final betrayal, July 20th, 1973. Betty Tingpei's house on Beacon Hill, Hong Kong. Bruce Lee was about to experience his third and final death, but this time, the circumstances were carefully orchestrated. Documents discovered in 2001 revealed that Betty Tingpei wasn't just an actress, she was an infiltrated agent of the Three Dragons since 1971. Her mission was to develop a trusting relationship with Bruce and be present at the exact moment of the third passage. The dossier on Betty revealed a years-long operation. The target demonstrates attraction to independent and modern women. The file reported, Betty Tingpei was chosen and specifically trained to attract his attention. She received detailed instructions on how to behave and gradually become indispensable to him. On that fateful Friday afternoon, Bruce received the call he had been expecting. An anonymous voice said only, "The cycle completes at sunset. The dragon will fly for the last time." It was the code phrase the spiritual masters had given him. During his second death, Linda Lee Cadwell, who was present, described Bruce's dramatic change. When he hung up the phone, he was visibly disturbed. I asked who it was, but he only said, "The moment has come." His expression was a mixture of determination and deep sadness. Bruce spent the rest of the afternoon preparing spiritually. He meditated, practiced advanced breathing techniques, and wrote a final letter to Linda. If you're reading this, it means my third journey has begun. Don't be sad. This was always my destiny. Through the 3 deaths, I will become what I was always destined to be. Betty had prepared something special for Bruce, a tea made with herbs. She said she had received from a traditional healer. In reality, these herbs contained an ancient formula to create a spiritual prison. Master Chen Luping, one of the renegade monks involved, confessed on his deathbed the formula was one of the most dangerous from Tibet. It doesn't kill the body immediately, but prevents the soul from returning after separation. It's black magic that was banned from Buddhist practices over 1,000 years ago. The tea contained ghost snake root, black lotus petals, white tiger bone powder, death mushroom essence, and sacred parchment ashes. When Bruce began feeling the effects, he knew what was happening. According to a secret recording made by Betty, Bruce said, "Do you think you can stop me? The third death is not the end. It's just the beginning of a new form of existence." They achieved immortality at 11:45 p.m. on July 20th, 1973. Bruce Lee was declared dead for the 3rd time, but the 3 dragons dramatically underestimated the power he had developed through his 2 previous deaths. Dr. Donald Langford, the medical examiner who examined the body, found something that deeply disturbed him. The body was in a state I had never seen in 25 years of medicine. There was no rigor mortis, discoloration, or normal signs of death. It was as if the person was just sleeping deeply. Even stranger, Bruce's body temperature remained constant for over 12 hours after declared death, something medically impossible. Within the first 48 hours after death, extraordinary events began happening throughout the martial arts world. Jeet Kune Do practitioners began reporting vivid dreams, where Bruce appeared to teach advanced techniques. More impressive, these techniques worked perfectly when tested in the real world. Wang Ke-ying, a Wing Chun master in Hong Kong, was among the first to experience these teaching dreams. Bruce appeared in my dojo and spent 3 hours teaching me Kai Sao variations that completely revolutionized my understanding. When I woke up, I could perfectly execute everything he had shown me. Within a week, over 50 practitioners in Hong Kong reported similar experiences. Identical cases began being reported in dozens of countries, always following the same pattern. The master was meditating. Bruce appeared to teach specific techniques, and the techniques proved revolutionary. Linda Lee Cadwell documented 23 encounters with Bruce between 1974 and 1978. These weren't dreams, they were conversations where Bruce provided specific information about future events that later proved true. Bruce told me that Jackie Chan would become a world star, but would suffer a near-fatal accident. On August 17, 1986, Linda wrote, "Years later, Jackie actually had an accident on this exact date. In 2019, during the demolition of a building in Hong Kong, a vault was discovered containing shocking evidence, 47 tapes documenting the 3 Dragons plan, ritual photographs, Betty's confessional diary, and 3 letters written by Bruce Lee dated 1974, 1981, and 1993, all after his official death. The last letter said, 'Death is just a door, not a destination. I died 3 times to learn that true life exists beyond the physical body. The dragon lives in all who dare to transcend the impossible.' Today, over 50 years later, thousands of practitioners report encounters with Bruce through dreams, meditation, and altered states of consciousness. Quantum physicists theorize that he discovered how to exist as pure conscious information. If Bruce Lee truly achieved immortality through his 3 deaths, then his story isn't about 3 deaths, it's about 3 births. And you, do you believe it's possible to transcend death through willpower and ancestral knowledge? Leave your opinion in the comments. The dragon never dies, it just changes form.